Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am Aaron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is James Perdue. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Ron. Appreciate it,
Yeah,
buddy.
awesome. Why don't you just start us off by just telling us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm what you call one in person people that use a wheelchair to get around.
Mhm.
And what had happened, I grew up one of the people thinking I was invincible. Anything I can do is nothing's going to stop me. Even if I
Mhm.
do get hurt, I know I'll heal up, but I'll heal up even better than I was before. I
Sure.
just had that mentality that I could just be invincible. And so went to college on a baseball scholarship, and I got to play in the fall one game, and that one game I was the only freshman starting. The very next day, I got woke up. This is on a Sunday, and went to outside and I said, "Oh, look, there's people out there playing football now. No helmets, no pads,
Mhm.
and we eventually were playing tackle football."
Yep.
So I remember um, about 5 plays before I got paralyzed that I told everybody, my team got the ball back, and I said, hey, we've been out here about 2 hours. I need to go get my stuff ready for class tomorrow. And I walked out of the huddle, and then I heard
Mhm.
someone say, we need someone to run the ball. I stopped, turned around, and said, all right, I'll come back for one more play.
Oh
And
man.
that's the name of my first book, One More Play, because
Sure.
that play is when my life changed. So went back, they handed the ball off to me. I broke through the line, scored a touchdown. And when I was turning back towards everyone, someone hit me when I wasn't ready and broke my neck. I was paralyzed instantly.
Well,
So that's how we are. That's how we got started in our disability world.
yeah.
I tell people that life as I knew it as a strong athlete, independent, providing for my family, that day died. And
Sure.
me becoming dependent, needing help, other
Yep.
people looking after me, helping me, weak, was
Sure.
born.
Yeah.
So
So, so growing up, did you know anybody in a wheelchair with a disability, or what was your
I had,
exposure to that
when I
growing up?
was 12, 13 years old, 12, 11, 12, my grandfather had a massive stroke and heart attack.
Okay.
And he was probably the first person that I actually knew paralyzed. Well, he was
Hmm.
paralyzed on the left side where from the stroke and had an amputee above his knee from gangrene set in. So I
Sure.
remember going to a nursing home at young ages to visit him and meeting elderly people while I was there. And I mean, that's a great question. Did I know? Because when my book, I talk about when I'm laying there on the ground paralyzed, I think about JT. And
Okay.
JT lived in the room before I got to my grandfather's room. And one day I went to go visit, and this is how I met JT. I heard someone say, hey, buddy, can you come here for a minute? So I go in, and he's laying in bed, his arms are crossed, and I realized he can't move from his neck down.
Okay.
And he asked me if I could hold his water, his cup of water, with the straw so he can get something to drink. And that's so I'm laying on the ground thinking I'm going to be like JT now. I'm going to be in a nursing home.
Oh,
He
okay.
was in a
Yep.
car accident, and so plus when I got in high school, there was a guy with muscular dystrophy. I think it was muscular dystrophy. I'd met him in high school, but
Yeah.
yeah, limited people really.
Yeah. So when that hit happened in the football game, were you like completely paralyzed, couldn't move anything, or?
Oh, yeah, I didn't move anything from my
Okay.
neck
Okay.
down. It took surgery and things coming back, the
Sure.
regenerating nerves. And now I can move my arms, hands still limited function, energy, muscles. At one point, I'd got where I could stand up on my own and walk 10 feet with a walker.
Sure.
And so I would tell people that when the doctors at the beginning said I'll never walk again and possibly not move from my neck down, So when I was up walking with a walker, I said, "Look, I made a liar out of them for 10 minutes." I said,
There you
"Just
go.
the other 23 hours and 50 minutes, they were correct."
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. What is your definition of inclusion?
To me, inclusion that we all ought to be able to share. And again, I think a lot of athletics because I
Yep.
coach and things like that.
Mhm.
So everybody should have the opportunity to be on a field, to be on a court participating with each other. I don't care what you got. Somehow, some way, and again, the way technology is changing, again, change the game a little bit, adapt it for people to be able to play.
Yep.
Okay. Plus, people in public should be able to get out and go and everything like that.
Great.
So, I mean, it's very simple. Everybody that if they want to participate in whatever it is should have the opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I love
We
that
here just well,
definition.
we here we just recently, I guess it's been about 5 years ago now, 4 years ago, 5 years.
Mhm.
We and I went to this director, the parks director, over 30 years ago, and I said because I was coaching 13 to 15-year-old Babe Ruth team, and it
Yep.
finally hit me one day, why aren't these fields accessible? My
Mhm.
brother's pushing me to get to the field. Why isn't there a sidewalk instead of
Yep.
him on the dirt pushing
Mhm.
me and we're going sideways some because it's
Yep.
in an angle? And so
Yep.
why? So finally I go to him to ask him the questions. And I said, forget about me coaching. What if
Yeah.
grandmom and granddad want to
Yeah.
come watch grandson, granddaughter play?
Yep.
And what if, and then they're going to break a hip trying to get there,
Yeah.
or they're going to disappoint their grandchild not showing up.
Yeah.
And so I proposed this over 30 years ago. Finally, 30 years later, we get a park, and it's an all-inclusive park,
Sure.
and has the baseball field like I want it for
Yeah.
them to be able to play.
Yep.
I wouldn't, stupid me, I wasn't thinking about the playground. I just
Right.
wanted the ball field,
Yeah.
but they included the play field and a pedal park. $2 million project, raised
Yeah.
money and got it done finally. So
Yeah.
I really thank Dave Brown for working on that.
Is it like a Miracle League feel where it's like rubber?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Awesome.
what had happened there is I went, God, 2010, I guess, or 11, went down to get a service dog in Orlando. And while
Mm.
I'm in Orlando
Yep.
getting my boy Ricardo, I was talking with the family and they were talking about the miracle field. I said, I've
Yep.
seen things on video, and
Mhm.
I ended up getting material sent to me.
Oh, okay.
So when I get back with Ricardo, and I know about a year later, I was looking at the material and I'll go, hey, why don't we go get a league started?
Yep.
So I go propose it to the parks director and assistant, and lo and behold, it took 4 or 5 years again,
Mhm.
maybe 8 years. I think they said it was an 8-year project from there
Mm.
that they raised money and got it
Yep.
done. So, but it is a miracle field, yes.
Yeah, my daughter, so we live in southern Minnesota near Rochester, Minnesota, which has the Mayo Clinic, which you've probably heard of.
Hmm.
But they have a Miracle League field over there, and my daughter for a few years was able to go over there and participate. And it's very nice field and stuff, and it was a lot of fun. You see all those everybody having fun, and they get different people to volunteer to help the players and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. But yeah,
Oh yeah. Well,
it's a
and
good time.
people, to me, part of the thing is children, adults, they get to be inclusive, like you said, playing
Yep.
with the normal child,
Yep.
and they're just wanting to have fun. Is all they want to
Yeah.
do. They want to
Yeah.
be involved,
Sure.
but they teach so much lessons to the so-called normal that they don't
Yep.
think about, and they shouldn't think about, especially being a child.
Yeah.
But
For sure.
they learn so much from these other kids
Yeah.
and adults that's just valuable for them to have later in life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, one of the stories I've done two TEDx talks, and the first one I share a story about my daughter. Her name's Cecilia. She loves to sing, and she was in choir, like fifth or sixth grade, and they had a choir concert at a historic theater in town, and there was no. She was already using a wheelchair at that time, and there was no way to get her up there in her chair. So I ended up having to pick her up out of her chair, carry her up onto the stage, set her
Mm.
down. She sang, and take her back down. And just this last, I think August, the project was finished. So it was over 10 years from that when it happened, where I had to carry her till now. There, you can use a wheelchair to get out there. So I know what you're talking about, where something that seems simple or easy or should be done quickly takes some time. But I mean, I feel good that we had a part in, that project
Hmm.
getting done and being able to, other people won't have to experience it, but it's super frustrating when something that seems somewhat simple just can get so complicated.
Well, and my argument when I go to people, like I'll go, you know, hey, this is 2025, not
Yep.
1925. We should be following ADA
Yep.
laws and requirements,
Yes. Yep.
to get us where we need to be. And it's sad that you had to do that because 10
Yep.
years ago, there should have already been some type of ramp.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even though, and of course, the biggest excuse I hear on people, well, we've never had anybody. Is it because you're not accessible? Is
Right.
why they're not there?
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, because that was one of my arguments with the board director,
Right. Yep.
David. He said, "Well, nobody uses the tennis courts, and nobody." I said, "Have you ever tried getting to it in a wheelchair?"
Right.
I said,
Yep.
"If it's not accessible, of course nobody's using it." And
Right.
so again, I thank him and the city council that they finally got this done, and yeah, it's an awesome field.
Yeah. When you say tennis courts, the town we live by, there's two sets of tennis courts, and I actually don't know if there's a sidewalk from the like street to the tennis courts. I think you have to go over grass. So again, like if somebody
Well,
is coming to
I don't
watch,
think
yeah,
that was 30
yeah,
years ago. I
yeah,
don't believe that they've ever put sidewalks to the tennis courts. Uh,
yeah,
but I don't play tennis, and I know I'm
yeah,
being a little selfish with the baseball field.
yep,
Okay, but we can still go push it if someone. But but just
yeah.
down the
It's
road
interesting.
from us at the next city, Hendersonville, they host a wheelchair tournament
Okay.
in the
Yeah.
summer, and
Right.
so it can be done. So.
Yeah, and I mean that kind of brings to mind my daughter. We wanted to be more included in school than she was. So I'm like I have my definition of inclusion. The school had theirs, and it was always like theirs was so different than ours. And I feel like
Oh,
it's like that town where they have the tournament. Maybe the people involved in that town are just for some reason are more inclusive. Which is kind of frustrating because if you're in a town or at an organization that's not as inclusive, it's just kind of a battle. So it's interesting how, depending on the leadership, the people in charge, how it makes such a huge difference on how much inclusion is that there is.
and this is just I don't know, maybe selfish question that I would ask to other people.
Sure.
I'd go, I know if you had a child in this predicament, you'd already have this fixed. They don't think about it because they don't have to
Yeah.
live it,
Yep. For sure.
and that's understandable.
Yes.
But again, this is 2025 or
Yes.
2020 or
Yes.
2014, not 1914.
Yeah.
And so yeah. So yeah, I would propose if you had this child, y'all
Yep.
had already had this done.
Yeah. So you live near Nashville. You said we've been there a couple times and been downtown. And I'm trying to think how accessible is like all that stuff downtown in Nashville to get in and out of the
Nashville's
buildings
not
and
too
stuff.
bad, other than
Okay.
it's real hilly
Yes, it's
in
very hilly.
certain, and so me using my manual chair
Yeah.
would go into me being a quadriplegic. It's hard for me to push up the hills, so I'll
Yeah.
have my brother or whoever's with
Sure.
me to push up,
Yep.
unless I did get a power chair.
Hmm.
But I bet you I ain't. I've got it 15 years ago, and I bet I had to use it 100 times.
Oh,
But
really? Okay.
it's great for when I do go to Nashville.
Yes. Yep.
That way they don't have to push me and they
Yeah.
can enjoy themselves. So yeah, I don't use it unless I just really want to make
Yeah.
things easy on everybody.
Yeah.
So
That makes sense. Yeah, it's definitely hilly there. I'm just was trying to think if there's steps up into the buildings, or I couldn't remember what the buildings are like.
I don't go a lot into the honky tonks.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm not sure all about that. I haven't looked, I don't know exactly. But what I've been into,
Yeah.
it's nice. It is accessible. They
Yeah.
have found a way to make things
Sure.
inclusive.
That's good. How do you stay so positive?
Uh, I guess to me it goes. again, I throw a lot of things back to athletics. You learn a lot in sports: how to be a team player, how to be a bad loser, good loser, how to be a good winner, bad winner. And so it depends on how you want to be able to do this. And it's just easier in life when you're positive than it
Mhm.
is being so negative. I mean,
Yeah.
you can drag yourself down and stay in the pit with the where they say roll around in the mud with the pigs if you want to,
Right.
but that's not going to get you any cleaner and brighter, for the
Yeah.
next day when you go out. And
Right.
don't get me wrong. Now I have my days that I
Yep.
want to wallow around and poor pity me, but I try to get out of it quick and go from there. But I'm just one of them. Just life's just so much easier. Stay as positive as possible.
Yeah. How did you get the name Professor of Perseverance?
My man John Bentley. Hey John, if you ever listen to this, I mentioned you again. I was getting into the speaker realm, and we was in the NSA, which is a speakers. We had a seminar or a
Okay.
class, and I met John Bentley, and we become friends. One day I go to an event, and John's behind me, and all of a sudden I hear someone go, "Professor of Perseverance." I mean, I hear it, but I didn't know he's talking to me.
Mhm.
He goes, "Professor of Perseverance." I just keep looking forward, and then he says, "James." I turned around and said, "Hey, John, how's it going?" He said, "You're the
Mhm.
professor of perseverance." I said, "What?" He said, "You have a doctoral degree, right?" "Yes." "So you're a professor and you want to teach perseverance?" "Yeah." "You're the professor of perseverance." "John, I'm stealing that, buddy."
There you
So
go.
that's how I got started. And then funny, I got a funny story. I wish,
Sure.
uh, I don't know, I had to find a picture one day, but we got a nice Popeyes right across the street from our KFC.
Mhm.
But I was going through and it's getting dark and it's time for all these business to turn their lights on and everything. I was going through town. I looked over at Popeyes and the word pop, P-O-P, was lit up, but the word eyes, it
Mhm.
was dead. It
Oh,
wasn't on. And
yep.
so I pulled over and took a picture and I said, look, even Popeye support Professor of
Professor.
Perseverance.
There you go.
I need to get a
Yeah,
hold of them, get them to sponsor me in my podcast.
there you go. I was just going to ask you, do you have to pay him like a dollar every time you say Professor of Perseverance as a royalty or no?
He hasn't said that to me, but we're good friends. So, but
Okay.
uh, I would limit it if he told me that, but I would use it still.
Yeah. That reminds me of like, I don't know if you've watched Shark Tank, but where they try to do the royal or what's that? Mr. Wonderful does the royalty deals. I'll do this, and then you have to pay me 10 cents of every unit that you sell forever. Or you'd have to
Yeah,
pay
I've
him.
watched Shark Tank a few
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Have you gone through depression?
Uh, it's hard to say. I mean, not to say, but to admit after you talk about positive I am. But
Oh, yeah.
the first 5 years of my injury when I was paralyzed, poor,
Mhm.
pitiful me, I went to 18 different rehabs trying to
Mhm.
find that cure to walk again. And every time come
Oh.
back more depressed because there was nothing they could do.
Mhm.
And I didn't realize how bad I was until finally 5 years later, I told my family, and at this point, it wasn't a lie. Turned out being a lie, but it wasn't a lie. I said, if I'm going to have any type of life, I need to go on back to college because I didn't know anybody disabled like me that were working
Yeah.
that didn't have a degree.
Right.
I just didn't know. So I said, if I'm going to have a chance, I'm going to need to go back to school and get my degree.
Mhm.
Um, and I told everybody, not that I'm giving up or quitting trying to walk, but we need to put it on the back burner so I can
Yep.
get this through.
Yep.
Well, that back burner has been 40 years,
Sure.
and I've been to rehabs before now, but it's not with the intention of trying to walk.
Yep.
So was trying to be positive about it,
Yep.
but it ended up being a lie overall. But like I said, I didn't realize how deep a depression it was till after I finally admitted everything and accepted everything, and let's start to having living life. When I
Yeah.
talked to a friend that I went to school with, and they could tell the difference in my attitude and the way I talked,
Mhm.
and she said, "James, you wouldn't believe early when you got hurt, we were all betting that you were going to commit suicide."
Wow.
So, and I thought I was hiding it, which
Mhm.
shows you people see through what you're
Right.
masking.
Yeah. So what is your degree in?
Education. I
Okay.
taught school for a while, then
Okay.
life came back later and kicked me in the teeth, and now I'm not teaching. But while I was teaching, I was coaching our girls' basketball team. You see the basketball kind of turned a little bit
Yep.
now, but that was we won the state championship one year in middle school.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So it was a it was a good time coaching for a while.
Yeah, that's awesome. How was it like teaching school while you're in a wheelchair?
There was a few things that obviously they weren't prepared for it in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
One time I got graded down a little bit on an evaluation, which was nowhere near my fault. They said
Mhm.
because I kept rolling over the extension cord, but we needed the extension cord to plug in the wall to come across to have my projector to
Yeah.
project my notes up on the thing.
Yeah.
So I had to, and they
Right.
graded me down for that. And I'm going,
Wow. Okay.
but that's y'all's fault,
Right.
you know? So afterwards, they ran the line through the ceiling of the room and dropped the line
There you go.
down.
There you
Okay.
go.
But I'm going, why am I being hit with that? But at least they got fixed a
Right.
different way. But overall, teaching experience, I was first really worried how the children, I taught seventh grade science, how
Sure.
they would, try to take advantage of the disabled man. And so,
Yep.
but actually, they were a lot of more respectful than I
Mhm.
was ever given credit for when I first started. And after my first year or two, um, realized this is a good group where I'm at, and they were pretty respectful. So I
Yeah.
also was helping the baseball team at the high school. Same thing as when I was coaching. Always someone had to push me through the grass to get to
Right.
the field and everything. And so I ended up stopped the baseball to work on the basketball because I said once I'm inside the building, it's all it's all
Right.
level,
For sure.
And so that's one reason why I went more into the basketball. It would have been more easier to get into the building than get
Sure.
on or in the field.
Yeah, plus I'm just thinking about dugouts or dugouts. Can you get in and out of dugouts easily in a wheelchair? Or
Uh,
are they?
well, not without assistant. And
Yeah.
I don't remember, back when I don't know about you, when I played baseball, our dugouts went 4 steps deep in the ground. So you're
Right.
watching the game eye level.
That's what I was wondering.
Um, I remember one coaching where they had to help me down there and back up in there, but the rest of them is just like a
Just
one
flat.
step, one
Oh, okay.
well, one step to get in, or it was pretty flat.
Okay.
So, but it
Yeah.
wasn't too bad getting in the dugout.
Right. What is your support system like?
Well, I tell people I'm glad that not that I'm glad I'm paralyzed. Okay, I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but in today's time and day, and especially the technology and everything, you and I are meeting like this, talking, and
Yep.
we're going to talk to people around the world. But tell the people that God knew that I needed this family way before I was born and in this
Mhm.
wheelchair. And my mom and brothers and grandmother have sacrificed so much for me to make sure that I become successful.
Mhm.
So I've definitely got the right family.
Yeah, that's great. Do you live on your own?
I had my house built, yes, and I've
Okay.
moved my 85-year-old mother in with me now. She has
Okay.
dementia. So now I'm playing the
Mhm.
caregiver with her, role
Right.
with her.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, I live by myself with her, and
Mhm.
yeah,
How are like services in Tennessee? Is there the government services that you're able to use to help get like equipment or support you?
I haven't really looked because I didn't
Okay.
at the beginning. When I got hurt, it was always we had to figure it out because we
Mhm.
didn't know. Now I did
Right.
use our vocational rehab
Sure. Yep.
to build a ramp one time for me to get into the house. And of course, they paid for most or
Mhm.
all of my, not all of it, most of my education
Mhm.
degrees.
Okay.
Other than that, I mean, I see videos of these other guys with spinal cord injuries, and they got these chairs that looks like a tank, and then they got their push chair, and then they got their tennis chair. And I'm going,
Yep.
how are y'all affording all this? And then you
Right.
hear them talking about grants they apply for and
Yeah.
stuff, and I've never done that. So
Okay.
I need to
Gotcha.
do that to give me a more active chair that I can go pushing instead of using the
Sure.
same chair.
Yeah. Yeah. Up here in Minnesota, I'm not sure how they did it, but a bunch of the state parks and different parks, they've got those tank chairs or track chairs that you can go out in and go on the if where the trails aren't paved and stuff. So that's kind of cool. But I mean, yeah,
The
they're not cheap.
no, they're not. You're right. The a friend down the road I met, she's cerebral palsy,
Okay.
spine. I don't think it's spinal bifida, but she's in a wheelchair, and she was telling me she sent an article to me that our great state of Tennessee has one of those tank chairs
Okay.
that you can use, but it's located 200 miles from here.
Oh,
But
okay.
they would bring it to you for you
Oh,
to use in your area.
sure.
But I'm
Interesting.
going, only one? There ought to be
Yeah.
one in every county,
Right.
the way the money is, ought to be one in every city, you
Yeah.
know, but
Right.
one in Tennessee was my understanding. Now that was a couple of years ago, so hopefully
Sure.
that's because she got them to come up this way, and she
Okay.
used it
Yeah.
tried it out. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you say, it's good they have one, but yeah, that doesn't seem like enough for everybody that could use it. So
yeah, what if you got
yeah.
4 people one day and they go,
Right.
can't come to you today, but we can come to you next week?
Right. But I
You
want to
know,
go to.
yeah, y'all put it off to next week. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know it says rain, but
Right.
yeah, we'll be there.
Yeah, for sure. What are
So
your three P's of success?
3 P's of success. First one, let's stay positive,
Mhm.
okay, as much as we can, and everything like that. Be productive, which means whatever you're going through, and it doesn't have to be a spinal cord injury. Find other people who's been through it and get advice to help you.
Mhm.
Okay. The good thing about today with technology at the end of our fingertips, the keyboard, we have all this information that can tell us other organizations, associations,
Mhm.
groups that you can meet with and talk to at do like we're doing, talk to them face to face and get examples of and information on how to get through what you're going through. And then
Mhm.
the third one is just simply let's persevere. I'm a professor of perseverance for one
Mhm.
reason. So persevere is to get to it and move on. Do the best
Yeah,
you can. It won't be a perfect life, but if you weren't disabled, it wouldn't be perfect anyway.
that's
And
true.
so do the best you can. Hey, one thing I've learned, and this took me a lot of time again, being the independent, all invincible guy. I had to learn to ask for help. When
Mhm.
I first got hurt, I'm dressing myself, learning to, and I'll
Yep.
take 25, 30 minutes getting my socks and shoes on.
Yep.
And now I'm wore out and ready to take a nap, you know,
Yep.
where I could have simply asked my mom or brother, you
Yep.
know, to put them on, they'd be done in 3 minutes. And then I
Yep.
wouldn't have to have a nap. So,
Yep.
so I've learned to, I tell people, swallow my sinful pride and
Yep.
ask for people want to help, but they don't know what to do if you don't ask.
Yeah. No, that's a great point because I mean I don't know if it's maybe I'm 48, so I don't know if maybe we were taught those lessons like you need to do stuff yourself too though, where it's like yeah, I sometimes have a hard time asking for help. My partner, she has a hard time asking for help. I help her or like I can see she's struggling and it's like, "Do you want some help?" And she's like, "No, I got it." I'm like, "Okay." So I mean, I think it's not just a you thing,
Well,
not asking
and
for
with
help.
and what you did was a great example. Ask. If they don't ask,
Yep.
ask. And when they say
Right.
no, hey, cool, thank you. You know,
Right.
because that one time I was out exercising and I was getting ready to push up this hill, and another
Mm.
gentleman was exercising. He says, "Let me help you up this hill."
Yep.
Well, if I let you help me up the
So
hill, it defeats my purpose of me exercising. Oh, I
right.
don't mind to help you. Well, I know you don't
Yeah.
mind. They said, but I'm exercising. He said, "Oh,
Right.
you just relax." He's pushed me up the hill, and I told him, I said, Now, don't get mad when we get top of the hill that I'm going back down it so I can
Yeah.
push up it for my exercise. He said,
Yeah.
well, what do you mean? He says, I'm helping. I know you're helping, but I didn't want
Hmm.
help. I want.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, that's it. If someone says, no, I'm good, say, hey, I'm
Yep.
glad. Thank you. Take care. Move on. But it doesn't hurt to
Yeah.
ask.
Right.
I know a lot of people are afraid to ask. It
Yeah.
didn't hurt to ask. They just, if they're not going to say yes or no.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Thanks for that. Thanks for that clarification for sure. What is one tip you can share to help the listeners be more inclusive today? So just something anybody can start doing today to be more inclusive.
I think the easiest thing is recognize everybody.
Hmm.
I'm not talking just disabled, inclusive, homeless people, the average. Recognize everybody as a real person.
Hmm.
Okay. And which means all you have to do is smile at them, say, hello, how are you doing? You don't have to stand there and listen to 50 minutes of what's going on in their life. Just, hey, how
Hmm.
you doing? Hope you have a blessed day and move.
Right.
Just recognize them. So many
Yeah.
people feel in this world that they're invisible because people just don't talk to them. So
Right.
I think the easiest thing, simplest thing to get started is just recognize each people, just simple smile, have a good
Sure.
day, and
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah. That's a great tip. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you?
Same, just Google Professor of Perseverance and you'll come up with everything from
Okay.
there.
Nobody else is trying to steal it from you?
I have seen someone else using Professor of Perseverance.
Okay.
Okay. So I don't have the trademark and
Yeah.
legal stuff to claim it and so I don't know exactly what theirs is, but
Sure.
I did Google one time and years ago and saw
Sure.
someone else was using it. So
Yeah. That's great. Is there anything else you want to talk about that we haven't talked about? I think we've covered a lot of stuff.
no, I think we've done a lot. I think
Okay.
I want to thank you for you doing your podcast to
Yeah, you're welcome.
open people's eyes out there. And again, we don't know everything,
Right.
but if we get brought up to us, and then we can learn more about it. So I
Yeah,
appreciate what
for
you're
sure.
doing with your
Thank you.
podcast.
Yeah, we didn't talk about your podcast. Do you want to briefly talk about your podcast and what you do and with it?
My podcast is not exactly yours, but
Sure.
similar. That we reach out and we talk about overcoming adversities, what we've
Okay.
done to
Hmm.
whatever's help hurt us. Okay, it could be cancer, it could be
Hmm.
amputee, you gone blind.
Hmm.
I talked to one guy one time. He had gotten kidnapped in Russia, and he was held 20 months for a $5 million ransom. Now,
Oh,
obviously, that was no health
wow.
issue, right?
Right.
But that's definitely some adversity to
Hmm.
overachieve that you got to live for 20 months. That
Right.
finally that ransom got paid.
Wow.
So we just talk about
Hmm.
overcoming
Sure.
our issues, our problems, and
Right.
then give advice on helping the next person.
Yeah. Awesome. Ready for the last question?
Yes, sir.
Do you like spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
I can use that once a month. That's about as
Wow.
far as I can go.
That's
So
quite a bit, though.
that is quite a bit. But I have to fry it in the pan
Yep.
and good old bread. I like toasted and
Okay.
mayonnaise with it. Well, oh, and a
Okay.
tomato. Got to have a tomato.
That sounds pretty good. So yeah, I ask. I've been asking every guest that question because I live near Austin, Minnesota, where they make spam and where the spam museum's located. So when you come to
Oh,
Minnesota, if you like spam, you should visit the spam museum.
Spam Museum. Yeah, I got
Hmm.
actually I got a can in the kitchen that has
Okay.
bacon sprinkled in it somewhere.
Yep.
So I need to take care of that before well, I
There
won't
you
get it
go.
before Thanksgiving, maybe before Christmas.
Well, it'll probably last for like 10 years, so you got
I
time
would
for that way.
well actually that one has been on my shelf for a few years.
Okay.
That's why I'm saying I need to get it taken care
Yeah.
of before
Yeah.
I
For
just
sure.
end up giving it to the cats.
There
So
you go. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
thank you, AA Ron, and everybody
Yeah.
else. Y'all be sure to keep listening to him and give him those subscribe and downloads and hit him up.
For those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion.